guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled Man Refuses to Believe I Am the Office Lady and Insists I Don't Work Here. It's funny, because I am exactly the kind of person who is always mistaken for an employee. I guess I have that walk or whatever it is that people cue off of. I'm an office manager at a church, and an atheist, because life is funny, and was sitting at my desk doing my thing when a guy from our pest control company comes in. Him. Hi, I'm Freddie with Pest Control Company. I usually talk with I can't remember her name, the older woman who works in this office. Me. Hi Freddie, I'm Nian Fuzzball, the office manager. You probably spoke with me actually. Him. No, it was a few months ago. The office lady was much older. She let me into the kitchen. Me. Well, I can let you into the kitchen, that's no problem. Here's my card. Hands him my office manager biz card. Him. Gosh, I just can't seem to remember her name. She works here in the office. Me. Well, I work here in the office, so you'll be stuck with me from now on. Fake Midwestern laugh. Him. I always deal with the office lady, will she be in today? Me. I'm in charge of the office, so I can take care of whatever. Him. No, I need to talk to the office lady, the one who works here. He points at my desk. Me. There's no other office lady. The only other woman who works here is the minister. Him. But I always talk to the office lady, the older woman. Me. I'm just leave your paperwork here, I'll make sure it gets to the right place. Him. I'm supposed to leave it with staff. Me. They pay me, I'm staff. Him. Oh, they pay volunteers? Me. I'll make sure the paperwork gets to the right place. Him. Is she your mom or something, is that why you're helping out? Guys, I swear it was me. I've been here for years. It's my office. I'm the only one who works here. I'm the one who deals with vendors. I am the older woman he talked to. But by the end of this he honestly had me doubting it. Eventually he gave up and agreed to give me the paperwork to give to her when she comes in, and went to spray for bugs. I guess I'm officially an old woman, but can pass as a younger version of myself with my mask on. The next story is titled I Got Fired from Walmart and Never Worked There. About a year ago, I worked selling solar panel systems. This job required me to wear khakis and a blue polo when I was meeting customers. One particular day, after meeting with a homeowner, I had to stop by my local Walmart to get more pens and a notepad for my work bag. I pretty consistently got asked if I worked there by other customers, and I would help if I knew what they were after, but I always told them that I didn't work there, and they were always kind. So this fateful day, I grabbed my pens and paper and checked out in the self-checkout section. As I was leaving, I heard someone say behind me, "And just where do you think you're going?" Now, a little about me. I try to mind my own business as much as possible, and don't like to get wrapped up in other people's drama. When I hear outbursts like that in public, I assume it's not because of me. I also try to follow the rules as much as possible. In this case, I assume it wasn't me because I paid for everything, so I continue to my car. Roughly 30 feet from my car I hear again, "Hey you. Stop." I do turn around at that one, because that's typically what you say to a thief. An employee who can only be described as a Karen is marching towards me, 8 different kinds of pissed off. She starts reaming into me about how I'm abandoning my shift, and I'm not supposed to get off for another 3 hours. I'm standing there bewildered because I genuinely have no clue what she's talking about, and I try to let her know I don't work there, but she won't let me get a word in. Eventually she says, "Forget it, you're fired." I waited about 5 seconds, and told her, "I don't work here, I've never worked here." She stared at me, and muttered, "Sorry," and ran back inside. I'm still not sure what happened, but that's my tale of being fired from a job I never worked at. Hope it brought you some joy. The next story is titled Sweetheart, We Don't Work Here. So I never thought I'd have a story to post here, but it happened. Just not in the way you might expect. I needed a few things for my house, so I loaded up my kids into the car and headed to the Dollar Tree down the road. Before anyone says anything, Dollar Tree is awesome and super cheap. Great for single dads like myself. Now my daughter is 3 and my son is 1. I was in the aisle with the detergent and Fabuloso and such. keeping an eye on my daughter who was messing with the shelves a few feet away from me. After grabbing what I need, I head back to find her organizing the cans of air freshener spray usually kept in the bathroom, grabbing all of the loose cans that had the same colors and pictures on them and putting them back into the display box. M. Honey, what are you doing? D. I'm fixing this. It needs to be fixed. M. Okay, but it's time for us to go. We have to get home before it's time for your sleepover at Granny's house. D. Dramatic sigh, but Daddy, I have to fix this. They all need to be together. M. Sweetheart, we don't work here. We need to go. If we're late you won't be able to go to Granny's house. D. Dramatic gasp, oh no. You're right. We gotta go Daddy, let's go now. We then proceeded to pay and the lady at the register heard the whole conversation and was laughing while saying I had such a great little helper. It was a fun time for all, haha. It's not one of the most dramatic posts like I've seen on the top posts of all time, but I thought it was cute and wanted to share. The next story is entitled Neighbor Expected His Utility Bill to Be Paid. This was late 1990s in rural South Carolina, rather important context. My relative, Natalie, is an out lesbian. Indeed, she and her partner, Sherry, were in discussion to be the plaintiffs in a legal case seeking to overturn bans on same-sex marriage. Sherry got a job as a high-powered engineer for a major international company and moved to South Carolina. Wanting to live in a more rural area, Sherry and Natalie found a home that was a converted barn sitting on about 8 acres complete with pool, private lake, small fruit orchard, and some open fields. As the property had some electrical drops in various parts of the property, the sellers let Sherry know there are actually 3 electric meters for the property, each billed separately. The main house was on one. There was a hookup on a light pole in the orchard. And there was one more for a well on the property. Go figure. The 2 meters that were not the main house were cheap, so Sherry and Natalie didn't give it much thought. After they were living there a few months, Natalie mentioned that the electric bill for the well pump went way up. Nothing outrageous, but from like $6 per month to nearly $40. Curious, I did some back-of-the-napkin calculations and found that the 1/4 of a horsepower pump would have needed to run 24/7 for about 25 straight days to use that much electricity. It was just the 2 of them living there and there was no way they could have used that much water. Something wasn't right. And so I began a bit of investigation, looking for a leak. I followed the waterline out of the house and oddly it ran off away from the well out in the field. I followed the line back into the edge of the woods behind the barn and found, much to everyone's surprise, another well with its own pump powered from the main house. So what the hell was this other pump in the field for? And so I started digging. Surprisingly, that well ran to the neighbor's house. And that is when we finally got the full story. The neighbor was the pastor at the church where the former homeowners attended. They had an arrangement that the former homeowner let the pastor get his water from well on the farm property and the former homeowner just paid the bill. But somehow there had been an electrical fault to ground, IIRC. I don't really understand electrical stuff much, and the meter was spinning almost non-stop. That is why the bill spiked. So Sherry, not wanting to rock the boat, offered the pastor continued use of the well if he would fix the electrical issue and get the meter into his name. But he refused. He insisted that he had a right to free well water, at Sherry's expense, and got rather unpleasant about it. This was what God wanted and similar proclamations were hurled Sherry's way. Fine. Her well. Her pump. Sherry gave him a couple weeks' notice and disconnected the electrical meter. No pump. No water. No longer her problem. Rather than agreeing to reimburse Sherry maybe $80 in excess bills over a couple months, paying to get the pump fixed, and taking over the rather modest bill, we saw a well drilling rig at the pastor's house a few days later. Must have been thousands of dollars. To cap it off, Natalie talked Sherry into doing something else with that well. They did fix the pump, ran a new water line, and built a bathroom with showers. All for their new women-only, lesbian campground. The campground didn't last particularly long as a business. It mostly just covered some basic expenses for a few large events each summer. But if not for the pastor's obstinance, it might never have existed at all. The next story is titled I've Got No Explanation for This One. I had just left another disappointing job interview, and decided to get some Mickey D's as a pick-me-up. I placed my order, got my food, ingested my calories and clogged my arteries. All around good times. To paint the picture, McDonald's employees wear all black. I was wearing khaki slacks and a blue button-down shirt. I've got a bag over my shoulder and my very noticeable Bluetooth earphones in as I'm listening to my music. I finished eating and cleared my tray, throwing out the garbage and leaving the tray. Then, as I turned around to head out the door, a lady and her friend blocked my way. I had my earphones in, so at first I didn't understand what they wanted, but after a few seconds I took them out to hear what they wanted. The first lady asked me to clean their table so they could sit. I thought that maybe I had left something behind and looked at the table I had just vacated, but it was clean, and they were pointing to another section. I gave them both a puzzled look, put my earphones back in and just walked between the two of them and left. Probably anticlimactic, but I just wasn't mentally equipped to deal with the absurdity. The next story is titled "We Can't Refund You Money We Didn't Take XXL." This may be a stretch for this subreddit, but here it goes. I was working in an insurance call center at 9 p.m. for a smaller insurance company that I'll call Spooky. Angry customer, AC, and M for me. M. Thank you for calling Spooky Insurance Customer Care. How may I help you? AC. You need to put my money back right now. I told y'all you couldn't have it and you took it anyway. M. I'd be happy to take a look into that. May I have your policy number or would you like me to look it up by your name? Side note: it is common for us to get calls about not stopping a draft and withdrawing funds when we aren't supposed to. Darn human error. AC. I don't have that memorized. Shouldn't you know my policy number? Isn't that your job? M. I'd be happy to look it up for you. What is your name and zip code? Look up old policy from 10 years ago. Verify no other polices for her. Well, you haven't had insurance with Spooky Insurance for 10 years, so we did not take any money out of your account. AC. Yes, you did. And you are gonna put it back in right now. M. This is Spooky Insurance Company. I think you have us confused with someone else. AC. I know who I called. You took my money. I want it back. M. Okay, why don't you send me a screenshot of your bank statement? AC. Okay, but then you are putting that money back. You had no right to take my money. M. Open up screenshot. How much was the charge for? AC. You should know you took the money. Idiots taking 200.00 out of my account without permission. M. Find the charge. Okay, so you see where it says, other larger insurance company. AC. Yes. M. Well, we are Spooky Insurance Company. AC. So. M. Well, we didn't take your money cause you don't have insurance with us. You have it with other larger insurance company. AC. I don't care who took it. You have to put the money back. M. I don't work for other larger insurance companies, so I can't put it back. AC. You lying. You had no right to take that money, so put it back. M. If you want your money back, you have to call other larger insurance company. AC. No, I want you to give me back my money. M. I can't because I don't work for them, so you should call them. Goodbye. Click. I would think that the name of the other insurance company on her bank statement would have given her a better idea of who to call. The next story is titled That Day at the Homicide Scene. In the 1990s, I was a TV news stringer, a freelance news cameraman, in San Francisco. I would listen to the police scanners mounted in my car and rush to the scene of breaking news stories, where I would get my video camera out, record news footage and sell it to the local TV stations. One night I heard the police get called to a homicide scene. I scooted over there, parked and got my camera out of my trunk just as a couple of homicide detectives pulled up. I should explain that my camera was a mid-sized, industrial, model, not one of those huge multi-$1,000 broadcast models that only the TV stations could afford. The detective spotted me holding my gear and motioned me over to the house where the murder had taken place and held the door open for me to enter. I'm flabbergasted. This has never happened to me before. Usually when the cops see me show up, they start throwing up police line tape to keep me and my camera as far back as they can. This is a very unexpected welcome, but hey, I'll take it. I walk in, shoot a wide, establishing shot, get a couple of medium shots, and about then in walks another cameraman with a camera about the same size as mine. Only he is wearing a SFPD badge on his belt. Everyone looks at him, and then they all turn and look at me. Someone finally breaks the silence by asking me, "Who are you?" I respond, "TV news." The officers who had held the door open for me blanch and give each other an "oh crap" look, as they realize their mistake. "Ah, you shouldn't be in here," he says. I say, "No problem," and I leave. Just to be clear, I did not include the footage that I managed to shoot inside the crime scene in the package I sold to the TV stations. If I had, I am sure that several hard-working police officers would have gotten into trouble. No need for that to happen. I suspect that decision on my part was appreciated, as I ran into the same cops at other scenes in the following years and they always treated me both friendly and fairly. In fact, I got a call or three over the years suggesting that I and my camera might want to be at a particular place at a particular date and time, almost always resulting in me getting exclusive footage of this or that major bust. The next story is titled A Bit of Trolling. Few years back when I was still in high school. That one day I was wearing a plain red t-shirt. Went into Target after school to get some snacks. Target was just 3 to 4 minutes walk from school, before I get picked up. There I was at the chips section, trying to choose which one I want when an old lady just walked up to me and asked me something. I had my headphones on so I couldn't hear anything. Decided it was too much of a hassle to pause the music. I'm a lazy duck. So I just did a shrug-off gesture and get back to picking my chips. She stormed off quickly. After a few minutes, I was walking down the aisle toward the register. She caught up to me with a Target manager, proper uniform with name tag, and started yelling. At this point I just quietly paused my music to hear what's happening. She was going on how I was not helping her, not doing my job, disrespectful, true. The manager, of course, can tell straight away that I'm just another customer. He quickly explained that to her but she didn't back off. Immediately accused me of misleading. Why didn't you say so? You know that's just rude and you're wasting my time blah blah. So me, with all my wisdom, decided to not say anything but use body language instead. First I pointed to myself, then my mouth, then made an X with my hands. Like I was trying to tell them I am a mute, I'm not. The manager just followed up with, "You can't talk?" Nodded. Being a troll here. The lady went from rage to full embarrassment and nervous in 2 secs. She must have thought she shouted at a mute kid how I didn't speak up sooner. I just hurried my ass off to the register, paid for my chips, walked as fast and as far as possible away from Target and started laughing to myself. The next story is titled The Wedding Bartender. Friends of mine were getting married. The wedding was in the bride's hometown, several hundred miles from where we all lived. So, I went there, with a couple of mutual friends. We're at the wedding, held outdoors at the bride's sister's house, a very lovely, huge place. There are about 350 guests, and a full bar set up, but no bartender. So, I jump behind the bar and start making drinks. I'm in a black suit, black shirt, black tie, so I guess I looked the part. Almost no one there knew me, as they were mostly the bride's family and people she grew up with. People start telling me their problems and doing the usual bartender thing. And offer tips. I put out an empty plastic pitcher for tips. I'm making drinks for over 2 hours and collected about $450 in tips. It made a nice wedding gift for the couple. The next story is titled No, This Is Your Job. I'm a high school student, 17. I attend a school where the teachers aren't very strict and often leave the classroom to go smoke a cig or something. I wear glasses, so the teachers often think I'm smart, even though I'm not. Our third period just started, we went into the classroom. I don't know how schools abroad are, but we go from room to room every period, take our seats and while everyone is pulling out their books, the teacher goes, "I'm going to leave the classroom, probably for the whole period. She pointed at me, you are in charge now, teach them something." Me, who wasn't paying attention to what she said, "Huh? Teacher. Don't me, you know what I just told you. Do your job." She leaves the room, leaving all of us confused. The ones who were actually listening to what she said explained the situation to me. So I thought I might as well explain the last topic to them, since I remembered it pretty well, and because the exams are coming up and nobody has a single clue what the topic is about. So I proceed to teach the class instead of my teacher, with everybody thanking me because they finally understand the topic. Towards the end of the period, the teacher cones back, sees the whiteboard and goes, "What are you doing? You were supposed to teach them this." She pulls out a paper with the topic she was supposed to teach us. "You had one job and you couldn't even do that right." I'm a rather calm person, but here I just lost my temper and begin to raise my voice. "My job? My job? I'm not a teacher, I'm supposed to be sitting there, in the seat where my stuff is and learning from you." She realized what she just said and was just staring blankly at her papers while the rest of us left the room because the period ended. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some